I would recommend so much.
Yeah, where are they from?
They're from a company called God Hand.
Okay.
It's a Japanese company. They are made. So they're SPN 120 steel. They are fucking sharp as all sin. And they go through like plastic like butter. Like GW clippers, I always need to have a X-Acto blade at hand to make sure I get rid of all the rest of the shit.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, not with these. They just literally they're
just
like
melts right through.
They're like precision. They just clip right so close to the They're magical.
Well, the last pair of clippers I bought myself was the Army Painter brand, red-handled ones.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been pretty pleased with those, actually. Those have worked out quite nicely for me. But the reason I had to buy... You've still got those. I still had, up until I had to buy the red Army Painter ones, which was about this time last year, and slightly before this time. Anyway, I still had my yellow GW clippers. The spring was long gone, and the tip was missing off one bit of the yellow clippers. But I had them since I was about 18, and they'd just been with me the whole time. They were solid. So there was slight nicks, and not just to the clippers. They probably weren't the best, but from the durability point of view, they had not done me wrong. Whereas I had a pair of those ones that you've got there, Mike, and I have long memories of sitting in GW Reading, working there one day, using a pair of those, squeezing on a metal miniature, and one of the blades just sheared off, went flying across the room, and nearly took someone's eye out.
This is my second pair, because the first one did that. Although these ones have done me quite a long time. And then I've got a couple of pairs of the really cheapo Citadel ones that came with like the starter sets.
Mm-hmm.
Or I think I got those because I subscribed to the part work stuff.
Got a pair of the penultimate ones, which are really quite good, but they're just these ones have seen better days because the amount of metal models that they've gone through and pieces of what's it called, paperclip. For pinning
paperclip
purposes.
is the killer on them.
No, these are my just throwaway pair. But have you seen the new Citadel ones?
I don't know if I have.
They are just ignore them.
Okay.
So shit.
I'll stick with my red Army Painter ones, to be honest. I'm fairly happy with them. But I need to tell you what finally killed my yellow-handed clippers and nearly killed me.
Mains cable?
Pretty much. But you have to bear in mind I'm an idiot. It's a long-standing known fact that I am an idiot who has only lived this long because my wife goes out of her way to ensure that she doesn't have to collect on the life insurance money.
Fair play.
And if you're honest, I think death by misadventure would fairly accurately cover what nearly happened to me. So there'd been a cable that was dangling outside my daughter's bedroom window for basically the entirety of the time that it had been her bedroom. And in fact, even before that, since we'd moved into our old house, there had been an electrical cable type thing that had been dangling outside the window, just hanging out of the eaves of the roof. And I'd ignored it, not paying any attention to it, but in a particularly strong wind towards the beginning of last year, it began banging repeatedly against the window while she was trying to sleep. And because she couldn't sleep, I didn't get to sleep. So I resolved I was going to do something about this. And I thought to myself, look, that cable has been hanging out of the eaves of our roof for 14 years, as long as we've lived in this house. It's clearly not for anything. It's clearly just hanging there. I mean, it's got a tiny bit of electrical tape, a scrap of electrical tape wrapped around one end. But if it was actually connected to anything, it would be properly capped off with, like a junction block or something. It wouldn't just be left hanging in the wind and the rain. It's clearly not connected to any electricity, because otherwise the rain would have gotten through that piddly piece of electrical tape and shorted it out by now. So what I'll do is I need something to cut it through. My GW clippers, they've never steered me wrong yet. I will take to the roof, or the flat roof immediately underneath her window, and I will cut through this cable, and it will cut it off up near the eaves. It will be gone. It will be done. No longer a problem. So I climbed up on the flat roof. I went up to the cable. I took a firm hold of it with one hand, took my clippers with the other, cut through it, and a spark the size of my head jumped into my face. And all the lights went off in the house and would not come back on. It turns out it had in fact been a live wire just hanging out of our roof for the last 14 years. And all I can put it down to is I was wearing rubberized shoes. These are rubber sole trainers on a roof with a rubber roof, holding clippers with a rubber handle, and was not earthed to anything. So all that happened was a very big spark jumped up and tried to bite me. But it melted part of my clippers. I have to take a picture. I'm tempted to do a short because I've still got the piece of cable. I've still got the clippers. I keep meaning to do a little, like 1 minute short. So maybe I'll do a 1 minute short and throw it up after this video, just showing here's how I nearly killed myself, but was saved by Games Workshop clippers.
I love the fact that you were like, oh, I killed my clippers and nearly killed myself. And I'm just like, mains cable. Gotta be a mains cable.
Turns out it was.
That's what it takes to kill those clippers.
Yes. And it wasn't even the fact that it was cutting through the cable. It was the heat, I think, of the electrical discharge that just melted part of the blade.
Yeah. Well, that's how welding works.
Yeah. It looked like I didn't weld myself to the roof. Just smear myself in a crispy fried coating across the roof. But no more cable knocking at her window, keeping her awake at night.
Silver linings.
Nearly no more Ben.
Yeah, I've survived this long despite my repeated efforts to kill myself. So I'm, just putting it down to I'm clearly invincible. I am invincible. Clearly. I should briefly explain for those of you who joined us that Willard is not currently with us. He is somewhere between where his home and Leeds. We are hoping that he will get to join us. If he doesn't, then this is going to be a tale of 3 gamers, and we'll find out what Willard's been up to next time round. But we wanted to catch up with you guys. We wanted to let you know what we've been up to, and Mike's painted basically his whole army. I've failed fairly miserably so far this month. Murray?
Failed even more dismally.
There we go. So let's get down to it. Let's get chatting a little bit, first of all, about what we were supposed to be painting this month and what we've actually managed to get painted. Then I'm sure we'll probably segue off into some completely random nonsense before circling back round to what we're hoping to get painted for month 4 when we finish painting month 3. Or in Mike's case, like what new army he's going to start because he's probably already painted all of his.
Maybe.
So, okay, well, let's go from there. Mike, what were you supposed to be painting this month?
This month, I was supposed to be painting 3 warp fire throwers and 3 Jezzails. Because I'm doing the 3 for 2, and that 6 weapons teams comes to £24 or something.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So, and who doesn't like warp fire throwers when they have ridiculously well,
my trees.
But what's not to like of a?
It's exactly the right size for the lance formation. I'm currently planning actually to just when I play you, just form up into regular cavalry blocks because you'll never see it coming. Like, aha, we're lance formation size. Yes, but we're not. Da, 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 da.
Then I need to put my warp fire throwers on the flanks and just go down.
Yeah. Okay, so how did you get on with painting them?
Unsurprisingly, I did paint all of them relatively quickly because I love contrast paints. And
I've got some pictures actually here, which I'll throw up here. So yeah, I love that you've got the little bases as well for them to sit in. Like obviously they come on like cavalry bases for the Jezzails and stuff, but the fact that the Jezzails have a little movement tray to wedge them on is really cool.
Yeah, because they form into a unit when you take more than one Jezzail.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, I might as well put them in a movement tray, and that way I can move them around together.
If you're going to move them, I mean, they're move or fire weapons, so I'm not quite sure why you'd want to move them.
Yeah, I think you can rotate them so that they can actually see what they're shooting at.
Okay.
So yeah, it might need to do it for when things like Warhawks suddenly turn up beside me.
He has to paint them first.
Well, yeah. I'm safe until next decade, Ben. What annoyed me slightly is that they were obviously the Jezzails and the Warpfire throwers were obviously designed to go on 20mm square bases as 2 individual models because they don't fit in a cavalry base. So the slots, like the tabs for them, for like the Jezzail gunner lines up beautifully. For the guy holding the support at the front is at 90 degrees.
Right.
Which the slots aren't at 90 degrees in a cavalry base.
I suspect that it may have been that slot was purely for the purposes of discanting him from the mould. and you may have been intended to just cut that tab off and glue him on to the base.
Yeah, but I've got a funny feeling cavalry bases at the time all had slots in. They didn't release the solid topped ones.
Yeah,
until
no,
a lot
yeah.
later.
they all had. They're all slaughter bases.
Yep.
Can confirm.
Yeah, so it's just one of those. That's just a bit weird. And then the warp fire thrower, the gunner at the front is pointing straight forward. Great. One, possibly both of the crew models that with the thing behind him, are meant to be mounted at 45 degrees. I'm like,
yeah,
okay. And if they were in separate 20 mil bases, that makes sense because you did get 45 degree ones and straight ones, not a problem. But when they put them all on cavalry bases, they don't quite fit. So I built some myself.
Okay.
So I've thrown a couple of links over for STLs
I
on
will pop those up in the description below.
They were simple enough to build. So if anybody wants to use those, feel free. You can download them and print them.
Cool.
Just because, it was one of those things that I'm like, I could take the tabs off and then you super glue them on and you fill the gaps, and because they're super glued onto a plastic base, if you drop them, they'll fall out and all of that fun stuff. Or you can 3D print some bases and glue them all to them.
I mean, it was they weren't the only models that had issues like that at the time, because things like the missile launch teams from Imperial Guard that came out during Second Ed, they all went onto cavalry bases, but I don't think any of them properly fitted into the slots on the cavalry base. You're nodding because you probably got one right next to you there. There we go. See, you put it on an oval.
I moved him into an oval base, and I actually cut a slot in the bottom of the oval base for him.
Because he's no longer second edition official, though.
No, but
actually fits on the base instead.
Yeah, well, basically, I've done those, and then I've got things like the mortar cruiser on 60 mil rounds.
Okay.
So because it just
that makes sense.
Works more easily. And second edition, I don't think really cared about the bases that much.
I think generally earlier editions did not give a chuff about what base you were using because.
No.
Well, I mean, as an example, and this is one of the things we will segue onto later on, I'm sure. Murray and I, I've been trying to tempt Mike with Epic, and I've been trying to source the little rectangular Epic bases, but I'm using a mixture at the moment in my Orc army of rectangular and square bases. And actually looking through the Epic mag that came out around the same time, the Fanatic magazine that they did for Epic 40,000, one of the first pages that it has in there, in the first ever issue, is like a Q&A, here's what we thought, here's what we missed, here's what we wanted to do but didn't section. And it's, what bases should I use? And it just says, it really doesn't matter. You can use whatever bases you want. I've got some of my models on square bases, some of my models on rectangulars, and it even goes on to say, look, the new models I'm building, I've got a whole stack of square bases, so I'm putting like weapons teams or command miniatures on square bases or bikes on the backside of square bases and putting units on rectangular bases. It's really down to however you think it looks cool. And I think that was one of the cool things about kind of that era as well, about second edition and fantasy, fifth edition fantasy. Really did not care what size bases you put your models on. There was no, your Chaos Warrior has to be on a 32 mil square base. It was just, you should ideally be using square bases because otherwise they won't rank up properly.
It was day of loosey-goosey, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a bit more chill.
Yeah.
More beer and pretzels gaming than tournament gaming.
Yeah.
Which is still how I try and play because I'm rubbish. Like, I've been to tournaments. I turn up to have a laugh. And I bring nice thematic armies and do terribly. But I have a good time. Hopefully all my opponents have a good time. It's a fun weekend.
I mean, that's kind of the whole point of the hobby, I think, isn't it? Is if both players have fun, you have achieved hobby.
Yeah.
And if your fun is being the most competitive at a tournament and trying to win it and things like that, I have no problem with that, as long as the person you're playing against wants to do that as well. It is not very much fun when, and for me, when I go up against somebody who's got a peak meta list and destroys my entire army on turn one, I don't know if it's fun for them. I'm guessing not, but
you'd hope, we assume that they're looking for someone who's a bit of a challenge as well.
Yeah.
Which I'm not.
So one of the things I think the Games Workshop do quite well with their tournaments is that the fact that a large part of the scoring is also the fun of the game, the sportsmanship element.
I do like sportsmanship awards.
Well, that's it. I've been to a couple of the Games Workshop Warhammer 1 official doubles tournaments. One of them is the one that I got that for, which I'm still very proud of, with my Kelly's Heroes Imperial Guard and Monk's Car Caradon Space Marines. Which, again, we went to that event not really with an army that was tooled up by either of us to win, but an army that we hoped might win a painting award because that was what we got into the weekend for. The other one I went to, though, again for doubles, was with Rob, and we went with the express goal of if there was a wooden spoon, we were leaving with it. That was when it was Monk Fest. It was Monk's birthday, and the entirety of Hate and a whole bunch of Spiky Club and a few Vanguardians all went up. And we all turned up in T-shirts with Alfarius on the back. And when we signed in at registration, the only names we gave was Alfarius. So when you looked at the score sheet at the end of the weekend, it was like Alfarius, 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 Alfarius. But Rob and I had set ourselves the challenge of trying to take the least number of models possible. I think between us, we only just broke double digits for the number of models on the table. I had an Imperial Knight, all 4 Assassins, 5 Stormtroopers, and Inquisitor. He had a Dread Knight, a Land Raider, I think 5 Terminators, and that was our armies. It was ridiculous. The only reason we broke double digits was I had to take 5 Stormtroopers. But yeah, it was one of those ones that we made it quite clear to our opponents, saying we're not going to throw the game, but we fully expect you're going to kick our asses. And then we had lots of fun.
I did that many years ago with a fantasy Orc and Goblin army. I'm not quite sure how many pump wagons I put in it. Because why not? It would be funny.
Yeah, no, it's kind of why I like going to Blood Bowl tournaments, because you know that if you're going to go for a Blood Bowl tournament, it's going to be a laugh. And like when the last one I went to a month ago.
How did that go? You must tell us a minute. How that went.
So came 7th out of 18 players. Yeah. 7 out of 8, yeah.
I think it's 18. I think it's 18. Yes. 7 out of 8. No. That's what I would expect.
Yeah, 7 out of 18.
Top
yeah,
off.
it was weirdly, but they weren't expecting it to be popular. They only sort of put aside 8 tickets, and then all of a sudden they went in 5 minutes, and they were like, "Oh, okay, we're going to need to get more tickets," and so they put loads more on for sale. Yeah, no, it was really fun. Yeah, the first game played was against Necromantic Horrors, and that was a fairly close 2-0 to them. Just got no idea how to play against them. And also he punched both my War Dancers into oblivion, which that's just my game. Then played against Lizardmen and ran rings around them, and he'd never played against Wood Elves before and did not know how to deal with War Dancers. But it was actually quite funny, seeing this fucking skink go from one side of the board to the other with other skinks, just getting out of the way. I was like, fucking stunty players, yeah. But the last game was against Skaven, and that was it was a bloodbath. It was so much fun. But he took Acorn.
The cornet squirrel.
So fucking funny. It's got relentless, and so it can roll a dice and add it to its strength. And if it equals or exceeds the player's strength it's going against, it equals its strength. So you had this squirrel running at my tree man, rolled a 6. I was like, and just nutted this tree man out of existence. I was just like, I'm taking that squirrel next time I play a game.
I was going to say, is that why you've been converting one up?
Yeah. So I was just like, I have not laughed in a game of Blood Bowl so much than that game. It was just hysterical.
Awesome.
It was a very disastrous 4-1 to me against the guy, but it was still very fun.
One of the videos I want to do at some point is I want to do like a match report video, and I've just done paint water. I just mixed my brush in.
Not paint water.
Yeah. Okay. Let's swap those over a bit. Yes, Greg Mr. Bumble has said that he'd be more than willing to essentially do like match commentary on a game. So film the game and then have it like sports report commentary, which I think would be an awful lot of fun. But I've got a Norse team I'm painting up. So maybe when we get you over this way at some point for a visit, you bring your handsome wood elf team with the squirrel.
Yeah.
And I'll bring my noblemen from IKEA and we'll see how they get on.
See if the Febreze sisters can fluff a throw.
What team is that?
I have an old school necromantic team. Like the metal necromantic team.
Ooh.
So, which are, like old school metal sculpts.
Oh, those are proper old school. Those are the second edition Blood Bowl, aren't they?
I don't know. I've never had a game with them.
You've never? Oh.
Actually, saying that, the amount of models that you have that you probably haven't had a game with is quite...
Not that surprising, actually, I suppose.
Yeah. I should get them painted up. I think
Definitely.
I've got some green static grass kicking around.
I keep waiting for them to do... My favourite team from back in the day was the vampire team. And I have a wholly, completely converted vampire team, which is Fangchester United. It's great. It's got like a necrarch, one of the old necrarch ones that was kind of holding a staff and railing, but he's now actually holding a ball back and lobbing it. And like there's the Strigoi that they did that was like that, but he's actually leaning back as if he's about to catch the ball. And they used to have the awesome rule. They used to have the off for a bite rule, which is that you had to roll a dice for them at the start of each turn before they could do anything. I think it was on a roll of a 1. They would essentially launch a block on the nearest adjacent lineman from their own team, and they just turn around, grab the nearest human thrall, and drink their blood. But if they couldn't do that, it was a turnover. But if you like literally put your own player in the hospital, put him in the morgue, didn't matter. It wasn't a turnover because the vampire's bloodlust had been sated.
Yeah, there was a bunch of memes going about on various Blood Bowl Facebook groups about vampire teams recently.
Is that a vampire star player by any chance? Do you two reckon?
Yes, that's Count Draken. Yeah. Drakov?
Yes.
Luther von Drakenberg or something like that.
Count Luther.
Yeah, definitely Luther was his first name.
Excellent. I will add him to the painting pile. He was with my undead army.
He was one of the better vampires because the regular vampires had a high strength. They had strength 4, but they didn't have block. But you got one vampire lord for your team, which essentially was the same profile as Count Luther, which was meant you had a strength 4 hero with block and like a decent armor, like armor 9 or something. They were my favorite team, so I'm looking forward to them doing those at some point, hopefully.
Yeah, it'd be good to see them. I'd like to see Bretonians back.
Yeah,
that'd be nice. I enjoy a nice punny name.
My orc team, which was also converted, was Mantua City.
Manchester City.
Because I'm a Manchester lad, so yeah, why not?
It's fair enough. I had so the elves are named. What's the team name? Glade Plugin. And all the player names are to do with some form of cleaning product. So the two throwers are the Febreze sisters. So you had Blossom and Breeze Febreze.
Like it.
And various others like Silith Bang, Brill Opad. Various others. The Tree Man is Pine the Treevolution Freesh. Just
this
random.
is one of the things I liked about the Blood Bowl novels as well, was they had that really kind of tongue-in-cheek approach to everything.
Yeah. The Albion League.
Yes, the Far Albion League, don't forget, because it's the FA, the Far Albion League.
Yeah.
Who worship the lesser known god of Sorka. Now I'm doing my Norse team in blue and yellow, IKEA colours, but they're actually going to be called the Iceberg Stealers.
Iceberg Stealers.
They're a raiding fleet of Norse and Vikings. You know, they ride around on their home pitch is on an iceberg, and they sail across the Sea of Claws, raiding stuff and playing Blood Bowl. But I'm going to name each of the players after a particular item of IKEA furniture.
You have a lot of choices there.
Yeah. pick the most ridiculous names.
Or the hardest to build.
Kivik. We're definitely going to have a Kivik in there. Just going to have quite so many of them.
How many of them can you get beginning with K? Because I've got a Kallax there.
Kallax, Kivik. There's going to be a Billy. It's going to be
I'll say all of this is Billy.
Yeah.
Well, surely Billy should be one of the ale boars that they thought was a great goat at birth.
Yes, possibly. The little refreshment boars.
Yeah.
They're really cute. The little mead pigs. Like
yeah.
Yeah, no. So okay, we did what we said we were doing. We segued. Let's circle round. So we know what Mike's painted, and he painted basically. How long did it take you to paint the stuff that you're supposed to have painted for this month?
About 2 days.
There we go.
If that. So I batch paint everything because I can't be bothered waiting for paint to dry. So I have to paint in batches so that when I finish the end of the batch, I can go back and start on the first model again. So when I've only got 6 models to paint, I kind of just did them as one batch. Doesn't take that long. Well, the way I paint.
Murray, what were you aiming to have painted for month 3?
Oh, hang on. Can't remember. So hang on. What was month 1? Month 1 was supposed to be the archers, the command, and 5 glade riders. Month 2 was meant to be another 5 glade riders. Month 3 was meant to be the mage on Warhawk, the 5 Warhawks, and because I was doing the 3 for 2, the 9 war dancers. Yes.
So let's start with, have you now finished painting month 1? Have you painted anything from month 2?
I would like to plead the 5th.
It's not America, no 5th.
Okay.
No comment. I warn you, adverse inferences can be taken and will be taken.
What is the British equivalent?
There isn't one.
No.
Anything you say can and will
be used against you in a court of law. If you refuse, the shortest you can do is you can refuse to give evidence, which can then be used against you. The court is entitled to draw adverse inferences.
Awesome. Brilliant. I like to see the way our legal system's better. Yeah, no. Up shit creek.
Okay.
I have, however, almost finished painting the entire boarding action piece of board.
Well, I'm sure that counts for something.
Yeah.
Don't think it'll be useful in 5th edition fantasy.
I don't know.
It would really probably upset your wood elves, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
There's
no
a
lines
lot
of
of metal in there.
No lines of sight either.
Oh, no. Well, no, depends how you do the map. But yes. No.
On the other hand, very little for my Bretonians to get a decent line-up and charge on, so, there's that.
No, that's true. Unless you play the first mission, because that is just one huge fucking long corridor.
There we go. I think the Skaven probably have the best time of it, because they just go, the flamethrowers and stuff seem ideal for corridor clearance.
Yeah. How wide are the corridors? Probably about the same width as this template.
Okay, so we'll chalk this up as Murray has all of month 1 to finish. Well, finish painting month 1, which I'll throw up a picture here. You have nearly finished the archers, at least.
I have nearly finished the archers.
So it's just a command left to do for month 1.
I am currently painting the command. And then, yeah, to be honest, the cavalry is quite simple to paint. So it shouldn't take me that long to do. Yeah. If I don't do what I usually do and just spend a lot of time doing things.
Okay. So are we hoping that by the end of month 3 you might have finished at least kind of months 1 and 2?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll take that as the target. I suppose that's one of the things that I kind of take away from this is painting should still be fun at the end of the day. And I'm assuming you had a lot of fun getting your wood elves painted.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You use them for great effect at the event. If we can just stop you from painting your mining board that you went and bought instead of painting some of your fantasy stuff, then we'll be laughing.
That's your two's fault.
I'm sorry. Of all the terrain, and there is so much 40k terrain that we had to look at. I mean, still have people pointing out to me stuff we missed afterwards in the comments and stuff and messaging
After
me.
2 videos.
Over 2 videos, you chose the stuff right at the end as the stuff to go and paint.
It's the stuff I started already having, and I just thought I'd just get more of it.
Okay.
Had you already painted the stuff you already had?
No, it's not even built. I was just have it in boxes. I was given as a gift. I say as a gift. It was more just chucked at me. And it was like, here, have this, and it was a full box of the kill team box that had the Phobos Marines and the
I know what you mean.
Anyway, had that, but it had that plus an extra an extra frontier building. An additional wall sprue, and then 2 extra satellite sprues as well. So it had a bunch of terrain in it. And then I was also chucked by someone at Wayland a bunch of old industrial terrain. So like the pipes and the chimney stacks and all that stuff.
So rather than build and paint that, you bought more.
Now listen. That wasn't enough to do the sort of board I wanted to do.
Have you built it to check?
No. I remember the days when boards of Warhammer and gaming boards were filled with terrain, mainly because everybody went really mad for Planet Strike and City Fight.
Like we said, also, that was the days when you could pay for points for terrain, and it became a bit of an arms race.
Yeah. But yeah, so I remember when you didn't have any. It's like, what is this Tau gun line? No. I'm not giving you any form of kill boxes for you to shoot at my plane. No, we're just going to have terrain. There we go. That's
you bought a tank. It would be a shame if you could maneuver it.
It's fine as long as you don't want to turn it round.
And this is why I had infantry armies.
I remember when knights came out and people were having to try and turn them sideways to shuffle between buildings.
Yes, no, I went a little bit mental.
Oh dear. So you've got a little bit of catching up to do before you catch up to the rest of us. Obviously, we don't know what Willard's managed to get painted yet because he's not with us. But ideally, then, are we hoping maybe by the end of April you might have managed the rest of the archers and whatever it was you had done for month 2?
End of April. Yeah, definitely.
That was the Warhawks, I think, for month 2, wasn't it?
No, so
the Glade Riders.
So 5 Glade Riders with spears.
Okay, well, so that's our challenge to you.
Okay.
It's time for me, having now teased Murray, to fess up. So the stuff that I was supposed to be painting for this month was, again, I was doing the 3 for 2. And bear in mind that I think my first month, I managed to get that done in the first month. Month 2, I managed to get that done in month 2. My Knights Errant are all finished. Put up a picture here showing the finished Knights Errant. But yeah, month 3 was doing the 3 for 2 offer, much like Mike and Murray. And I decided 3 boxes that they released for Bretonians at that point. They were all involving metal miniatures. They released a box of Questing Knights, box of Grail Knights, and the Bretonian Duke on Pegasus, or Hero on Pegasus. And of those, you got 4 Questing Knights in the Questing Knight box, 3 Grail Knights in the Grail Knight box, and the Hero on Pegasus. So I've got the all built. Just grab off the back here. So here's 2 of the Questing Knights. Look, they're built and they're undercoated.
Yay!
And I got one of them finished, which I will just send you a better photo of now. And I'm desperately painting the second one at the moment. Here he is. He's coming along at the moment. So the Questing Knights, I've decided to do the Questing Knights first.
Did the Questing Knights have lances?
So in 5th Ed Fantasy, Questing Knights still had lances. They hadn't. It was only until 6th edition onwards that they switched to great weapons. So yeah, still had lances in this edition. And the only major difference to them was they were immune to panic caused by knights. They weren't immune to psychology like Grail Knights, but they were immune to panic. And yeah, they, in the background, what I think is quite cool was they would ditch their noble heraldry and just kind of cover their armour in fleur-de-lis and stuff. So that's why the one I've finished up in the blue and white is it got the fleur-de-lis on him. And this one I'm painting at the moment again, quartered heraldry is going to have fleur-de-lis on that. And these 2, when I eventually get them done, likewise, fleur-de-lis all over them. So I've got those built. I thought I'd get those done before I branched onto the Grey Knights, because the Grey Knights are fairly intimidating, as they have probably the most advanced heraldry aside from my Duke. So again, I've got the Grey Knights. They're built. They're undercoated. They're ready to be painted. The one that took me the longest, actually, was the lovely present I got from Mike, who I've just got up here behind me. He is built, finally. He's pinned, glued. I haven't glued the rider on, but he's pinned, glued, undercoated. On a base, I have the Duke on Pegasus, ready to be painted once I get the Grail Knights and everything else done. So month 3 is got away from me a little bit.
In progress.
And in fairness, I did murray it a little bit, only insofar as I got distracted and started painting tiny Eldar spaceships. And I painted quite a few tiny Eldar spaceships, and I'm still painting tiny Eldar spaceships.
I'm getting all this lip.
Then I painted some Imperial spaceships as well. And then I got even more distracted and started painting and building epic stuff. I'll just throw. I've got at the very least the Blood Angels and the Knobs, which I threw up in the community chat on my channel, but I'll throw them up on the group here. The little epic Knobs and epic Blood Angels I finished. I love painting epic so much, and I think that when we have finished doing Tale of Four Gamers Fantasy, if we decide to do like a specialist games one or something, we should definitely do like tiny epic, like 1,000-point epic forces or something, because it's such a fun scale to paint, and I love them so much. My little pigs I'm painting at the moment.
I do like epic. I've been rereading the rule book and I've remembering it. It was just such a good game.
Such a good game. Okay, so we've talked about what we were supposed to be painting for this month, yes, and how varying degrees of success, ranging from Mike at one end, myself in the middle, Murray on the other, to how we've gotten on. We talked about what we've been distracted by.
I didn't cover quite how much I got distracted.
Go on. How much did you get distracted by?
I think I painted about 130 goblins.
This is Age of Sigmar goblins, isn't it?
It's Battle for Skull Pass goblins on round bases. That
so
shows how old they are.
They are suitable for Age of Sigmar though, at that point.
They are suitable for Age of Sigmar. They are worryingly not many points. Because they're like 125 points for 20. So it's like 1,000-point army is like 100 goblins.
Genuinely not many points.
Yeah, I was looking at it because you were commenting about you did a tournament where you had the lowest model count army you could, and I'm like, how many goblins can I fit in a 2,000-point army to take to a tournament and just run them at the opponent and just be like, here's 100 goblins they're sat on an objective, like. Good luck. Like, if you kill them, it'll be funny. Yeah. So I did those. I went through a lot of red because I decided that my goblins were going to be goblins of the Blood Moon, so they're all in red robes rather than black, just for something different. Because red contrast paints. And then I did some more Necrons. So I did Scorpion
again in red.
In red, because that's what my Necrons are, and it's actually really nice and easy for that color scheme because you spray them silver and then do the red bits and then null and oil the whole model and highlight. And then I did a Rhino for my second ed Blood Angels, so it's also red.
I need to send you that Predator model actually.
That would be awesome because it will also go red.
They're going to be red.
Yeah, it still needs banners and probably freehanding. To make it properly second edition. And then I did some Stormtroopers who aren't red. They're in black because they're second edition Imperial Guard Stormtroopers.
They are lovely one. I really like that edition of Stormtrooper model with the berets and the big backpacks.
Yeah. I love the idea they've got these big backpacks to power their hotshot las guns, even on the plasma gunner.
It's just he's carrying extra, hotshot for everybody else. Yeah. It's only polite.
Yeah, and the guy who's manning the autocannon. Like, not sure. Like a las, it would be funny. Hotshot pack on a las cannon. Not sure it would work, but
maybe it's just got his lunch in there. You never know.
Yeah.
Be prepared. That's the motto of the Imperial Stormtroopers, the Stormtroopers of the Imperial Guard. Be prepared. Dib 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 dob dob dob.
Yeah. So I think that's everything I also painted this month.
I kind of want them to do a range of Stormtrooper merit badges now. Like, most Xenos exterminated. Shiniest beret.
I'm still so fucking annoyed that they haven't brought out an Emperor's Tarot card set.
Yeah, well, there's the ones I did for Silent War.
Yeah, I'm talking like a proper sort of big chunky sort of
like a tarot deck style.
Like a tarot deck sort of size, where you can pretend that the Emperor is actually talking to you, sort of thing, like they do with tarot decks, even though it was actually a card game in Italy and France before any of that nonsense happened.
I know John Blanche has supposedly illustrated some, but they're not for sale. They're purely as gifts that he's given out to people.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Supposedly they're beautiful. But yes, they are something that would be very awesome if they did a 40k.
Yeah.
Not try it. It'd be awesome if they did a 40k set of those, an official set. Until then, I will be digging these out at Silent War later this year.
I need some for my character in Silent War, as she is member of the Ordo Chronos, the old Ordo Chronos, who predict the future and make sure it happens.
I'm assuming that she's actually from she thinks she is, but she's actually from a branch of the Ordo Chronos that is from a different timeline. Like the timeline that she was from has since segued off, and she's in the wrong timeline without realizing it.
Yeah. It's one of those, like, I need to make sure this happens in future. How do I do that? Hang on, this isn't the same. What?
I'm in the wrong leg of the trousers of time.
Yes. Yeah. But it does mean I can use the just as planned. which I entirely claim is why Murray didn't win the last Silent War.
Yes, clearly. I will be editing up and releasing that video at some point. It got held up because whilst I was horribly poorly sick, as seen in my Eldar video, Battle Gothic video, when I was under the influence of a Beast of Nurgle, I tried to edit the videos and accidentally deleted them all. And Nikki had to go in and essentially recover everything that I'd deleted. And it wasn't like a simple put it in the waste bin deleted. It was a full on, like, let's push shift and push delete. Oh, where's all that gone?
Oh my God.
Yes. Things you should not try and do while you're ill.
So when you do edit it, just as planned.
Just as planned.
That was... My weekend was incredibly successful, barring one mission with Grey Knights, which we shall never mention.
We shall not speak of again. Okay, so before I'm resisting the urge to just start going epic.
I really hope we don't do a Tale of Four Gamers for Epic, simply because I will.
You'll end up with so many armies.
Well, I'll buy myself a resin 3D printer because, it would be cheaper than buying an Epic army.
Yeah, and there's some lovely sculpts out there, and it would give you the option to add some of your own at that point.
So me and Stuart down here, he's planning on. Well, he's got a resin printer, and so he's printing me some Space Marines for Epic. And he's printing himself some Chaos Marines with the idea he wanted to paint them up as Iron Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to paint mine up as so he wanted Iron Warriors, and I was going to paint them up as Imperial Fists, and just do sort of grudgy match.
Be very cool.
I think he's trying to find Horus Heresy era models as Epic. So I'll have
specific armor ranges and stuff.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have like loads of Cataphracti, Terminators, good old sort of like Mark 1 Land Raiders. Although I say that, I really don't like the Mark 1 Land Raiders. I must say I prefer Mark 2s.
One of the resources I sent to you guys includes rules for the different marks of Land Raider, including the Mark 1 Land Raider. They did all kinds of awesome stuff in the old Epic Mag and Firepower magazine, including rules for old school Land Raiders. And the thing I am resisting the urge to try and find someone to 3D print at the moment, there is rules for Gene Stealer Cult in there. And they're amazing! So it takes all the things that are best from Tyranids and all the things that are best from the Imperial Guard and puts them into a single detachment. So you've got... obviously, you've got Brood Brothers, which are basically guardsmen. Mm-hmm. So you can take, essentially, guardsmen. But because they're Brood Brothers, they get rampage, which is the throw yourself. It's the thing that Squigoths get and Death Company for Blood Angels and stuff get. You throw yourself like a frothing loon at the enemy in the assault phase because they are sacrificial brood brothers to throw themselves on the enemy to preserve the more valuable assault troops. The other thing they also all get, the whole army gets, though, is they get synapse. As long as your Patriarch or your Magus are alive, the entire army gets synapse, which means you don't take morale checks, which in Epic is huge. Because one of the ways that in Epic that you win stuff is you pile blast markers on people, which reduces their morale to the point where they can't do anything because they just constantly fail leadership tests and therefore have to fall back away from the blast markers. Synapse, you don't care. So you've got Imperial Guard tanks that ignore blast markers, ignore everything, and just continue remaining 100% efficient for as long as your Patriarch and your Magus are alive. Which they should be, because they are Pardon?
What happens when they die?
Then normal morale rules apply, but they have to kill both of them. And bear in mind, you can take multiple detachments.
So you have
as long as you can have more than one Patriarch, more than one Magus. It's just you can only have one Patriarch and one Magus per detachment. So you can take lots and lots and lots of them and have wave after wave of disposable chaff that you throw at your opponent, backed up by waves of Gene Stealers and limousines.
Limousines?
Gene Cult had limousines back in the day.
Tanks.
Yes.
Like Death Strike missiles.
No, that's one of the ones they don't have, Death Strike missiles. But actually, looking through some of the stuff that I sent to you guys, they changed some of the rules on Death Strike missiles to make them not as good because they were too good. So instead of being D6 death ray hits on everything under the template, it's now D6 anti-tank, which simply means you're killing things on a 4-up rather than a 2-up.
Oh, for shame.
Yeah. Before I go down that rabbit hole, we should segue back round to Tale of Four Gamers. So, okay, I'm sure you've probably already painted it already, Mike, but what is your month 4?
Month 4, yes, I have already painted some of it. I'm going characters.
Ooh,
so
okay.
I need a pair of Warlock Engineers, Ikit Claw to lead.
That's a really cool conversion you've done, isn't it?
It is. And a pair of Poison Wing Globadiers.
Very, very cool. Some Clan Scryer weapons and a Clan Scryer engineer, Master Engineer.
Yes. Yeah, I think that fills up most of the 25 quid between those.
Awesome.
But is only like 5 rats, so it's going to get painted pretty quickly.
You'll paint it in an evening, won't you?
Well, the two Warlock Engineers are already painted because I did throw you an army picture of what I painted so far.
I'm not going to share that though because I don't want people to see that until next month.
Well, that's what I've. Barring the Warlock Engineers, that is me up to month 3. Okay. So, and that's because they're leading clan rats. You might have noticed that I did paint something like another 20 clan rats this month.
You do have quite a lot of them.
Yeah, and I've got 20 more in the post. I've got a problem.
A rat infestation.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm thinking like five more rats at the moment. And then yeah, we'll see where it goes because at some point I'm just going to end up painting all the rest of my Skaven, which is going to be much more than £25 in the month. But
have an entirely finished Skaven army.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what your plans are for next month. Or probably like an evening's time, a week later on this week.
Probably, yeah.
Murray, I know obviously your task at the moment is to get to the end of month 2 done by the end of this month. But beyond that, what would month 4 look like for you?
Right, so month 4 would look like 5 Way Watchers.
Mm-hmm.
And either, because I was still very indecisive, a box of archers and a singular Glade Rider.
Mm-hmm.
Or 2 Glade Riders, or 2 boxes of archers.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I'm probably going to go with the 5 Way Watchers and 2 Glade Riders because I was saying this a couple of days ago, or was it yesterday? Well, whenever. this is 5th ed. This isn't 8th ed, so I don't need massive blocks of things.
No.
Archers can't fire in 2 ranks unless they're on a hill anyway.
Yeah.
So I might as well go with just 2 units of 10.
Or if they're skirmishing, so it's one of the reasons why things like scouts and way watchers are really useful.
Or shooting big things.
Yeah, so I was thinking just the 5 way watchers and 2 glade riders. So I've got a unit of 7 glade riders instead.
How much are way watchers if that's all you can fit in £25?
No, sir. I'm only spending £20.
Because you're saving a £5 for the next month.
I'm saving a £5 for the final month, so I can spend 30 quid. So I can paint that thing that's there.
The dragon that tied him up there.
Because he was 30 quid. So that would be my month 5.
Okay. Well, I've got, obviously, got to finish all of this, but then I figured month 4 is going to be the command sections for these. So I've got the 3 command group for the Grail Knights, which are like £5 each. That's 15. And then the 2 command group that I've got for the Questing Knights, making it a 6, which makes a nice lance formation, except when fighting Mike, which is like £4 each. So that's another 8. So that's 23, which I'll just carry £2 over to the next month, and I'm sure I can find something to spend £2 on a month later. And then the final month, I've got to get my Sorceress in there in the final month, but that's actually, I think, the last model that's a must-have for my final month. And then it's just a question of what do I add kind of extra. Oh, Squires! That's the other thing I'd add to the last month. My Squires. I've got a whole bunch of Squires. So that would be my final month. I quite like the Squire miniatures, because again, skirmishing little archers. Pew, pew. And although Bertrand and his boys can deploy in the arrowhead formation because they're the bowmen of Bergerac, they can deploy as skirmishers as well, which means in theory all of my archers can skirmish and fire willy-nilly. Albeit that when they're in the arrowhead formation, all Bretonnian archers can fire anyway. So
yeah, but they also fit under this template much more nicely.
They do fit under the template much more nicely at that point. Yes.
Not so much when they're skirmishing.
But I've almost finished this Questing Night while we've been chatting. Huzzah! Questing Night, goodness. So that's another one done. 2 more to go, and then I've got to crack on with the Grail Knights, which I'm both looking forward to and dreading. I'll be honest. They're really beautiful models, but the heraldry on them is so much more fiddly.
No, you're not getting the Green Knight, are you? Because that's fiddly.
Well, the horse that my Duke is on is one of the Green Knight's horse. That's part of why the Duke took so long, was painting the yellow edge trim on the edge of every single fleur-de-lis on the barding, and then on the main sections of barding, going back and patterning the fabric with individual little fleur-de-lis in a slightly different shade of red on the red and a slightly different shade of blue on the blue. Looks lovely. I'm really happy with him, but it did take like the best part of 2 weeks to paint him. Cool. Well, it unfortunately looks like Willard's not going to join us. What we might well do is maybe we can do like a mid-month one when Willard's back and he can update us, and we can see, what new army Mike has started. Before we go, which one's the different 5th edition army you've got in there to paint?
Well, okay, I lied. I've got several. I've got a dwarf army that hasn't been painted.
Dwarves are awesome. I took them at last year's Battle of the Bad Landscape campaign, and they are probably one of my favourite fantasy armies after Undead.
So, well, I've got a part painted Undead army and a part painted Empire army.
Ooh,
going purple and yellow.
Purple and yellow. That's
Nordland.
No, Nordland was blue and yellow, wasn't it?
No,
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I've got a funny feeling it's one of the counties that doesn't exist anymore.
No, I'm sure it's. Oh, this is going to bug me.
Empire heraldry.
It's purple and yellow because I like purple and yellow, not because it was anywhere in particular.
But it doesn't have to be a particular Elector Count's province anyway.
I think it was one of those. I decided to paint the purple and yellow, and then I looked it up, and it was like, oh, there was actually one. And then
Nordland is blue and yellow. At least on I'm looking at the 5th edition book, and on the 5th edition book, there wasn't a province that was purple and yellow. But there's nothing to stop it from being like, for example, the army of the Amethyst College of Magic or something, or the personal heraldry of some particular minor noble within one of the many provinces, or someone from the border princes. Whatever your imagination can take you to be honest.
Someone who's particularly rich enough to afford purple dye.
Marienburg. Marienburg were the ridiculously stinking wealthy ones.
Yeah, that was part of the what was it? My Skaven army that I had that was all purple fabric, and the idea of it being that there was a particularly vainglorious warlord who had heard that these man things coveted purple dye, and so he sent a load of night runners to literally just steal loads of purple dye and caused a minor economic crash in the empire because of it.
Sneaky Skaven, just as planned.
Yeah, completely unbeknownst to them, caused massive amounts of destruction because of a lack of a resource.
So purple and yellow is or was Ostermark.
Ooh, okay.
Although you wouldn't believe it if you looked at the pictures in the heraldry and uniform.
Yeah, I thought that was red, but yeah, that is a kind of a slightly violet colour shade of purple, isn't it?
Yeah, the description that goes with Ostermark is purple and either yellow or white. I'm not entirely sure what happened to Ostermark because it was stuck next to Kislev and Sylvania.
I think it's still there in some of the later.
Ostermark's one of the ones that survived. It was the one down south near the Border Princes that got shanked by a
Solent.
Solent, that was it.
We got the 6th edition book here. I don't happen to have the 5th edition book handy, but I have the 6th edition book.
Yeah. So I will try and get them done because I've already done up some Empire Knights, varying groups. Knights Panther and the Reichsguard, I think. So
yeah, there you go.
Need infantry to go with them.
Yeah, Ostermark, purple and yellow, and Ostland was green and white.
Bogenhofen is quite cool. That's purple and white. That one's quite cool.
Is that the one from Shadow of the Horned Rats computer game?
I don't know. I genuinely don't know that one. But Ostermark's still here. It's on the map. There we go, Ostermark.
Hey.
Bogenhofen is not, I think, one of the specifically Empire provinces. I'd have to Google where Bogenhofen
I think is. Was it not a town or something? I do have a slight challenge with the yellow and purple.
It's a made-up thing from Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, 2nd edition. It didn't exist before they invented it for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. But then it made an appearance in 6th edition.
The whole of Ostermark just didn't exist, so they made it up. Cool.
No, Bogenhofen. Ostermark. Ostermark's existed for donkey's years. No, Bogenhofen, the one that's purple and white that I thought was cool.
Yeah. So I've got them. I painted them black, and then I'm doing the purple and yellow.
Mm-hmm. That seems like doing it hard mode. If you sprayed them white, you could then just Luxuriant purple, like I did on this.
I started,
and they come out lovely.
I started this before I got the contrast paints.
Tell you what, you could try the whole slap chop thing. You could just dry brush them white and then try contrast over the top and see how that looks.
Because that would save me having to redo the bases. Because I'm crazy and base first. The bases are all done, so I didn't want to spray paint them white because then I have to repaint all the bases again.
But slap chop them with probably an off-white, so use Corax white or something.
White,
yeah. And then contrast and see how it looks. I look forward to seeing them.
That will make this tub of infantry go a lot faster.
Yeah. Right, dudes, I'm going to say let's call it a night there because it is 10:30.
Yep.
Thank you very much for joining us for this tale of three gamers. Like I said, maybe we'll find out if we can catch up with Willard next week or the week after. And in the meantime, hopefully I'll see Mike, possibly Murray, this Saturday to roll up terrain.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Doesn't hurt to roll up terrain, at least even if you don't know for definite if you can make it.
Yeah, true.
Just gives you an idea of what you could actually take in your army.
That is going to be whatever I painted.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much for joining us, everyone. Hope you've enjoyed this one. And I'll throw maybe that short at some point showing me nearly electrocuting myself. In the meantime, thanks for watching. It's bye from me and bye from them.
See you later.
Bye.